Sip, sip. Positioning's a little bit off. A moment. That's better. I get simple joy out of things like that. It's like just watching me slowly descend, the top knot coming into view, just excellent. It puts the top knot in frame, but makes it a lot harder to reach the canvas. Oh God. I thought I would begin with some relaxing Zen music to just ease us in to Paintingu this Thursday. I stayed up far too late again, but at least I was being productive. For those of you who did not witness the sneak peek that I delivered some time last night, this morning, like 1 o'clock in the morning, I started the Vegemite painting for the elf. And I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed doing it. Obviously, I'm not finished. But what I did do was very enjoyable. Lots of fun. You too, Desmond, do. You too. I was going to say, actually, I set up a... I don't know what the fuck you just said. But I saved a screenshot of, like, today's phrase. I'll have to do it later when more people... Like, it would appear you're the only one with any honor today. So there is that. My phone's deciding to be a shit fuck. A fuck shit! My phone is being a shit fuck shit. Shitty fuck. Jesus Christ. What's wrong with this thing? Took a screenshot. I thought, like, I love, like, you know, I said to Sleep Deprived Bear there the other day, I commented on one of his things, he was like, I think he was complaining about, like, slow bowel movements or some shit, like, you know, or, he said he gets constipated. I can't remember over what. And, it was like, when stir, move like Gracier, drink prune. And, like, I love, like, sage-like advice in broken English is, like, one of the funniest fucking things to me, like. So, I mean, because you could just say, like, you know, when you're constipated, drink prune juice, like, do you know what I mean? Like, or drink a laxative or some shit, like, pop a laxative, like. But why say it like that when you can pretend to be an old Jap guy and be like, when stir, fro, reich Gracier, drink prune. Like, just makes me crack up. But today's phrase on Paintingu is ki no nagare ga yoko noru to kibun ga yoko narimasu, which means when she flows, feels good. I always thought that was hilarious. Like, do you ever see that? Like, if you've ever watched a foreign movie, like, and I've watched a lot of them, but like, the actor on screen will be like, and then like 3 or 4 words come up in the captions, and it says like, how could you do this to me? Like, do you know what I mean? But the dude fired off like fucking 40 syllables, like, like, and it's like, how dare you? Like, you have left your keys on the table, you fool. Like, it's always like a paragraph of kanji symbols versus like the English version is like 3 or 4 fucking words. Like, it's fucking hilarious. Like the ability to communicate information in this much data or this much data. Like, do you know what I mean? I think that's why English is like the dominant language for the most part, unless you count how many fucking Asians there are. Griffo, welcome. Antonio, welcome to Paintingu. Today's phrase. I'm gonna see if I can like really nail it. Hold on, I get like into my really get into character. Kinogare gayoka naruto. Kibun gayoko narimasu. When she flows, feels good. Today's phrase. I'm not going to remember today's phrase, no matter how many times I say it. Kinogare gayoka naruto. Kibun gayoko narimasu. Good luck remembering that shit. I think like over the next 50 odd years of me doing Paintingu, whatever Paintingu eventually evolves into, we will all collectively eventually learn Japanese. Eventually. Good morning, illustrious painting deity. That's a proper welcome. Desmondu is the only one with a moderate amount of honor today. You all showed up late, and we all know that punctuality is one of the main P's of Paintingu. Lateness will not be tolerated. You must pay for Paintingu. Don't make me get the cat out. I will get Garlos out. I will. He's right there. Think about it. There's always just an 850-pound tiger just sitting in the corner with a bucket and sunglasses on its head, biding its time, waiting for one of you to fuck up bad enough that I unleash him upon you. That's what I find amusing about foreign films. I fucking love that shit. It's so funny, isn't it? It's like, and it's like, do you mind opening the window? You know, like, it's the amount, like, it's like a third or at least half the syllables, like, and symbols generally, like, you know. And sometimes when you see, like, have you ever seen, like, just like a screenshot or like a passing shot of, like, a Chinese child's homework copy in school? Like the way, like, because of the way they write and their symbolism and shit, like, if you don't know what the symbols means and you look at it, when you look at Chinese or Japanese kanji, it literally just looks like Matrix code. It just looks like Matrix code falling down the screen. It's just, what is this? What the fuck is this? Feels good, man. There's a tune by a fucking band I listen to called Volumes, and I think it's literally just called Feels Good. And like the chorus is like, feels good, oh. Like, real catchy tune though. And like the guitar work in it and all is class. Like, I think it's funny how it's funny to me anyway, and anybody who's from the same kind of like genre of music, how like a lot of these like really heavy gent style like metalcore, new metal, like, well, not new metal, fucking like just like metalcore, heavy metal, like gent or whatever. Like, a lot of people say gent isn't a genre, but whatever. Like, these like, you know, progressive metal, fucking kind of like experimental metal and shit, where they have like some guy on a synth board on the background as well. Like, do you know what I mean? A lot of the riffs aren't even like, you know, a lot of notes. It's just like the tone of the guitar and shit. Like, kind of like similar to Tool, but like way a heavier pace and shit. For those of you who have no fucking clue what I'm on about, it's like bands like After the Burial, Monuments, what would be another one? Like a Periphery. There's a ton of them now. There wasn't that many like 15, 20 years ago. But it really got big, like, and then a lot of them went like really woke and shit. And not just woke, but like really mainstream. And when they went mainstream, like a lot of things did when they went mainstream, they essentially like cast aside what made them them at the time. Like the thing that made them get to the point where they went mainstream, they completely just chucked out the window. Like, I hate when shit like that happens. Like, oh, we're famous and we've a lot of money now. Let's just completely and utterly change the core of our fucking like product. Like, it's so fucking stupid. Like, oh, sip sip. Right. Like I said, today we're easing into the PEINTEINGU. Hence the nice, relaxing Zen music. But now, now it is time to dance with some demons. Where's my chins? I will eventually just have all this like set up in a way where I can just go click, 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 real quick, like. But alas, for the moment, and probably for another long while, I will haphazardly and like a toddler clumsily fumble my way through the ins and outs and logistics and tiny little independent parts of doing a stream. For the moment, I am satisfied being a fumbling mess most of the time. You get the fuck. Do not interrupt my stream. How dare you? Speaking over me. Me. Speaking over me. On my stream. The nerve of these people. Metal is supposed to be offensive to all by its very nature. Now they become gay and fear to offend at all. Like, I know, it's so fucking stupid. Like, so fucking stupid. But it's like it's like what fucking Owen's been going on about for fucking years with the lollipops and fancy pants and all. Like, and like I've even like fucking like you don't have to be rich and famous to succumb to that shit. Like I've suffered a bit of that in the last few years. I was only talking to a female about it there the other day. That like in the last like 2 or 3 years, like since moving here with her, I've like fallen into kind of a complacent state because like I used to be so stressed out living at home. Like I used to be so just inundated with all sorts of like emotional and spiritual and fucking mental stresses and shit because of the state of the house and the state of my family and my relationships with family members and relationships with friends. Like it's just in a really bad place. Like, and about a year before I moved here with the female, I finally like just turned it all around and like did a fairly good job of it, you know? Like in the space of a year, I went from like having a very poor house, like very poor, what would be the term? Like a fucking, like, you know, functioning household in terms of like the relationship between me, my sister and my mother and daily habits and stuff like that. Like it was just an absolute fucking train wreck. Managed to turn that around and we were having like meals together in the evenings and like I was, you know, cooking a lot and started like instead of getting another job, it was just before COVID, just after COVID hit actually I think, and I was like fuck this, I'm gonna like a lot of things just like came to a head, you know, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same where like I just got to a point in my life where I was like fuck this, like I'm doing loads of things wrong, like, and essentially fix the atmosphere in my house with my sister and my mother so I actually felt like a family again, and then started making money selling my paintings. So I was kind of like clawing myself out of hell and did that for about a year, and then I moved here. And when I got here, I think there was such a fucking insane change of environment and responsibilities and daily obstacles and habits that I like kind of turned into like a fucking bit of a lazy bastard in a lot of ways. And now it's funny because having been through that the last like 2 to 3 years now with all the stuff that I've done, but feeling like I want to do more and not having the energy. It's an odd place to be in when you're like, gosh, I need to work harder. And you want to work harder. But because you haven't taken care of some other aspects of your life, like my energy levels, like, and my nutrition and shit, so, like, no, it's not horrific, but it's not what it should be. My sleeping patterns, all these things, like, I've just become kind of, like, complacent. And I'm not as disciplined as I was before I left Dublin. And it makes sense, you know? And I see it as a positive thing that I at least have the fucking ability to self-reflect enough to realize these things. Instead of just, like, thinking that I'm, like, really crushing, like, all the time. Like, in a sense, I have been killing it the last 3 years. But in another sense, I haven't. You know? Like, when I sell a painting for 450 quid, I'm like, oh, this is fucking deadly, like, you know? Or sell 3 paintings in 4 weeks or something. I feel really good about it. Or somebody buys a t-shirt with a design on it that I made of, like, a retarded chicken or some shit, like, you know? All those things make you feel like you're succeeding. But are you actually succeeding overall? And, like, in a sense, yes, I have. But there's so many things that, like, I'm constantly reflecting upon, and, like, to the point where sometimes I've actually thought that I can be too hard on myself. Like, there's been times where, like, you know, other people have even turned around to me and be like, dude, you're doing okay, like, what the fuck, like, you know, like, relax, like. But I think it's good to be the way I am sometimes, where I'm pretty much constantly like, no, I need to do better. I need to do better. I need to work harder. I need to do this. But there does come a time where, like, cracking the whip at your own back. Like I said this before on, I think it was yesterday's stream or something, like, where, like, burnout is the thing. And I think I have actually kind of done that to myself. I've been complacent and haven't regulated and kept on certain things. So part of me has burnt out and requires a lot of rest. Like, I woke up at 8 o'clock this morning, got the female up, had a coffee and all, like, and then did my, did some, like, you know, qigong and, like, light exercises. Because I did a heavy workout there yesterday. So I was like, I'll just do some light shit this morning. And, I'd, like, after a light exercise, 2 coffees, and some toast, I just got this, like, wave of exhaustion. I was like, fuck me, I'm knackered, like, do you know what I mean? And then went back to, or just lay down and went back to bed. And just passed out. Like, it didn't even take me 5 or 10 minutes to fall back asleep. I just passed out and woke up at, like, 1:10. And, like, shot up and was like, fuck, I have to do PEINTEINGU at 3. Like, and I know why that happened. Like, I was ready to go to bed at 10 o'clock last night. But I didn't actually go to sleep till, like, about 1 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because I was on my phone editing a video together of me painting something and trying to do promo videos for PEINTEINGU. Which was probably a stupid thing to do, like, but, like, it's just, like, that's what I'm saying, like, you know, you just find yourself in these habits and moments where, like, right, I have the energy right now, I'll just do it right now. But it's almost like a weird form of, like, biological usury where it's like, you should, like, it's fucking 1 o'clock in the morning, like, go to sleep. Like, but I'm like, no, I need to do it now, I want to do it now, you know? And I do it, and then I fall asleep, and then I have to wake up at 8. And I'm, like, fucking exhausted, just haven't had enough sleep, like. I'm such an idiot with some of the, like, I'm self-aware enough to be like, okay, I'm doing this, this, and this wrong. Adjust. And then adjust. And then fix things and all. But then, like, over time, I start to realize, like, my God, I'm a retard. Like, there's loads of, like, little things that I'm just, like, completely forgetting about. Like, here's a small example. Yesterday, I totally forgot to put the Ethernet cable in the laptop. And it was fine. You know, nothing went wrong. I just ran it off the Wi-Fi. But the Ethernet cable is, like, way more stable, you know? And, I think I only realized it, like, after I did the stream. I was just like, oh shit, I never put the cable in. And there's just a few things that I've noticed where, like, I'm moving at such a pace and I'm creating so much shit that, like, sometimes I look back and I'm like, where am I going? Like, where is this headed? Like, and like the whole time I still have a vague plan in mind. I want to do this. I want to make this stuff, and like I have this idea, and like people would really like it if I did this, and I'd have a lot of fun doing this, and I would probably make a lot of money, and like all these things. Like, and I'm slowly chipping my way towards this like vague goal of like owning my own business, having my own merchandise, perhaps even having my own TV show that I like pretty much make myself. Like, do you know, and it's like, although I would love to employ like the female as as a cameraman eventually. Like, do you know what I mean? I would just be like, female, hold this. Like, but I have all these ideas and I have all these things like, and it's working and I'm making money. It's just not enough yet, you know. And this constant like self-evaluation can sometimes actually hinder my progress because instead of just doing what has already proven to work, instead of just getting up and doing it and doing the same thing every day and all, I get distracted with how can I make it better? Is it good enough? Should I be doing more? Should I be doing less? I definitely suffer from over-analyzation. It's definitely something I suffer from. I must discipline my mind. To discipline the mind. Very important. Iron Man Baru, welcome to PEINTEINGU. What is the measure of success? I know, it's fucking, like, but that's one of the reasons it's like, I think that's one of the reasons why I have that kind of brain that just like ponders things and like look at the streams. I mean, like I can just fucking, I cannot even paint. I just sit here and talk for fucking 3 hours until my voice goes or some shit. Like, because I just have all these like, I'm like, what about this and what about that and what about this? Like in a lot, like I've said it loads of times before. In a lot of ways, I am a child. Like I really am. Like you can totally argue that I have a severe amount of arrested development in lots of ways that other people wouldn't. But I see most people, like, you know, truthers would call them sheep or like normies or whatever. Like I see most people as like utter retards in most of their behavior, and it's their behavior. Do you know what I mean? It's the way they behave, the things they say. I'm like, you people are fucked in the head. But then people look at people like me and they're like, you know, oh, you're crazy, or like, you know, fucking. Like that's usually like what it like. Jizz, you're mental. Like, you know, like we're a bit mad, aren't you? It's like, I think you have to be. I think you have to be a bit mad to fucking exist in this environment and actually like function in a productive manner and shit. You have to be a bit mad to because like in order to efficiently thrive in your environment, one must understand your environment. And if your environment is based around madness, then one must understand madness to function in that environment. And that's what, like, from a young age, I started to understand that adults aren't what we think they are when you're a child. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when you're a child, you're like, you know, oh, I can't wait till I'm grown up and I can do this. And, like, grown-ups get to do this. And grown-ups are so... Being grown up is so cool. Like, you have all these freedoms and you've got nobody telling you to go to bed and, like, on what to eat and, like, and all these things, like... And for a lot of us, like, very early on, you become aware of certain behaviors where you're like... You could easily make the argument that some grown men and women are no better than a wild animal. But they have a car and a job and they've got kids, You know, like so like I totally get where fucking Owen comes from when he's kind of like, well, maybe they fucking maybe you should take a lot of vaccines, you fucking lunatics. Like, do you know what I mean? Make sure you take all your boosters. Like, do you know, like I get that. I do get that because like there comes a point where like if you run it out logically, you get to a point where you're like, okay, so these people are in control. Well, why are they in control, and what exactly are they in control of? And when you really get down to the nitty gritty of it, I think it's as simple as that. As like you have people who are like absolute fucking legends who like know how systems work on on an intricately comprehensive level, who know like ancient knowledge, everything from fucking like you know the real astrological bodies and what they're like used for, and like celestial knowledge and like alchemical knowledge, engineering knowledge, fucking like numerical knowledge, linguistic knowledge, all of these things that are like the fundamental building blocks of society as far as people are concerned. And then you just have these guys who have a insanely comprehensive and high level knowledge of all that stuff. With it, like with great power comes great responsibility. I mean, like, how would it not be a huge burden to like know all that shit? You know, and like, how do you know all that shit? You just sit around reading all the time? No, I mean, you grow up in an environment where you're surrounded by other absolute legends who teach you these things as you're growing up, instead of fucking feeding you full of fucking retard juice and putty in a jar and fucking sent you to school to be indoctrinated and turned into a drone. Like, it makes sense to me when you look all at like. I think that's what, like I've said this before, that's what has alleviated a lot of my stress. Is how much sense all this ends up making when you look at it from a meta perspective, from a macro perspective, whatever way you want to word it. When you just zoom all the way out and you actually look at the big picture, there's so many behaviors. Like, look at the Indian stuff. Like I've seen stuff like that years ago. Like, do you know what I mean? I used to watch like hours and hours and hours of Discovery Channel and shit. And like I've seen all sorts of fucking like, tribes that still practice cannibalism, fucking like if you've ever looked into the history of stuff like body modification, where people split their tongues or like, put like implants under their skin and shit. Like, that's all tribal, that's all old stuff, like, and like all this fertility stuff of like, suffocating a horse and then getting one of your 4 wives to fuck the thing. It's like, you can kind of see like where their vague logic comes from. It's like, okay, horse, big animal, very powerful, big cock, make good baby, like kill horse, take cock, put in woman, make good baby. Like, you can kind of see on a really primitive level where they make these like big leaps, like in connecting dots, like where they're like, okay, like I can imagine them looking at a horse, like, you have a problem, you're like, right, my wife is not fertile, chances are it's the fucking king. I mean, like, when you get into how like opulent you'd have to be, like, to have like, a fucking temple and all these robes and the gold and like the resources available to you to like take a horse and use it for a fertility ritual instead of something practical like pulling a cart or transporting. Well, that transporting goods would be pulling a cart, but like, do you get where I'm going? It's like it makes sense where it's like, all right, you have horses. Why? Because like they can carry heavy shit. And like we can like get on them, and like they're real fast, and they can travel long distances. They have lots of stamina, so you can use them as transportation for like personal transportation, or you can transport goods or like all these fucking things. Like, you can use it to like drag shit out of mud, or like, you could use it to pull things apart if you're trying to take a building down. So like there's like all sorts of combat reasons for them. You slap armor on a horse and run at a load of guys. Like, that's fucking effective. But suffocating the thing and then getting one of your four wives to fuck it in an attempt to get her extra pregnant. Let's just say, like, in my humble opinion, there is gaps in that logical conclusion. Like, like the whole thing of like, what's that Native American thing where they like they'll cut out the still beating heart of an enemy and eat it, And like, there's a part of you that's like, yeah, it's badass. Like, it's a few people I'd like to fucking do that to myself, like, like. But then you actually like think about it for a minute, and it's like, your average like if I could probably cut somebody's heart out of their chest if I had enough, like, I was in the moment and I was like full of like just hatred for them because of something they did to me or some shit like that. But like, I don't know about like eating it in front, or even taking a bite out of it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think one of the funniest fucking things imaginable would be for someone to like follow through on a fantasy like that, and it goes completely like assways. Do you know what I mean? Like, these type of people that get on the internet, it's like, oh no, if I ever get my hands on you, I'd fucking cut your heart out of your fucking chest and eat it in front of your ass. Like, like these fucking Indians that have been going on Owen, like, oh, I have an AK, buddy. I'm gonna find out where you live, buddy, and I'm gonna fuck your mother with my bayonet on my AK, buddy. Like, they just go hard. Like, they don't even go hard. They go like orbital. Like, do you know what I mean? They go fucking like just so crazy. Like, but imagine if one of them actually tried to follow through on something like that. Like, because like realistically, this is probably somebody who works in at a desk in an office at a call center or some shit. Like, and they're just on the internet fucking being an asshole. Like, and like, whether they have an AK or not. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just, like, imagine if they actually tried to follow through. Like, they kill a guy, like, and like their heart's racing, and they're like, they're in the moment, and they're like, fucking, like, oh my god, like, what am I'm actually doing it? Like, I'm gonna fuck it, I'm gonna cut this guy's heart out of his chest and take a bite out of it, like, and like you're in the middle of like trying to put your hand in his chest, and you just start like vomiting violently all over the place, like your nervous system is just like, what are you doing? Like, you just like reality sets in, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you feel the warmth of the inside of another person's corpse, like, and you're trying to like pull the fucking. You can't just like. If you have any idea how hard it's like it would be so slippery. Do you know what I mean? Like, to be able to get a grip on a heart firmly enough, like you'd have to grab the whole heart in your hand and like make sure that like you know what, like if you haven't gone in and like gone around with a blade and like actually cut the heart out, if you're actually just gonna like rip it out, like, have you any idea how fucking like stretchy and elastic flesh and shit is? Like, like you'd be like, yeah, like you'd be like trying to start a petrol mower, like shit, fucking like. You probably like get it out halfway and it like slips out your hand like a bar of soap. Like, I just think that'd be so funny to me. Like, if you had a guy from the past who's actually like decapitated people, who's like run people through with spears. He's like hit guys in faces with axes and like seen them die on the spot, like, or like spaz out and shit. Like, because it's the same thing where it's like, Mike Tyson saying that, like, everybody has a fucking plan and a fantasy until they get a punch in the mouth, like, do you know what I mean? There's another level to that shit. Like, everybody's like, oh yeah, like, I'll fucking pick up a rifle and fight for my country. Oh really, nigga? Okay, well, like, we'll see if you still have that kind of gusto and confidence when a guy that you've known for like the last 8 months gets shot in the fucking face and shits himself in front of you. Like, and you've to drag his twitching corpse away from the hail of bullets and shit. Like, I've always found that shit so hilarious. Like, it's actually one of the ideas, one of the, not ideas, it's one of the reasons why the idea that violent video games make people violent has always been hilarious to me. Because I can see fake violence done realistically with like realistic sound effects and stuff like, and I'll wince. I'll be like, "Oh, damn!" And it's a video game. Like, think about that. The fictional constructed image. It's not even real. It's not like a photo. It's not recording. A video game where like you like kick someone in the fucking head and like get him like put your foot in his chest and roll him over, put your foot in his chest, put a fucking pump action shotgun to his chin, and just empty his brains all over the floor. You do that in a video game, and you're like, oh my god, that was intense. And like, there would be a very small percentage of people who are already psychotic, because that's why it makes sense. But there'd be a small percentage of people who actually like receive that stimulus as something like addictive, where they're like, oh yeah, I want to do that again, like in a really dark way, like. Most people, like myself, it's kind of like seeing a firework go off. You're like, whoa, but it's like a bit darker. But what that actually does is that makes me and people like me think of how monumentally horrific it would be to do something like that in real life. Because my brain sees it as like, okay, well, if that's the fake version, then I don't really want to know what the real version looks like. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's how my brain works. That's how most people, their brains work with shit like that. Like, you show them, it's like something like Grand Theft Auto where you can pull someone out of a car. You can pull a female out of a car in Grand Theft Auto. And she's like, what are you doing? And you could just like curb stomp the shit out of her, take out a baseball bat, beat her to death. There'd be blood all over the place, blood all over her head, and then you can set her on fire by throwing a load of fucking gasoline and like shooting the floor, or full on just like throw a molly at her corpse and watch her turn into a charred fucking lump of flesh. Like, do you know what I mean? And like, you just like, if you just hear me describe that, that's fucking insanely violent. Do you know what I mean? That's why those games have R ratings and shit. Like, it's insanely violent. Like, but the idea that your average person is going to witness that and go like, man, I can't wait to do that in real life. like you, I think it's proof that on an instinctual level, your average person, like your normal person, without kind of like any real trauma in their life or whatever that may or may not have fucked them up, or like early life indoctrination or some shit, like just your normal fucking run-of-the-mill nigga is inherently good. Like, I don't believe in the whole original sin thing, and I do believe that your average person, when it really gets down to it, is like, inherently good and has a good heart. Like, most people don't steal. Most people think that, like even if your culture doesn't even have a strong sense of honor, you're still gonna have a lot of things that people just be like, oh no, I wouldn't do that. That's not cool, Walking the dogs. I said, your bunny rabbits are fucking adorable, man. I've always loved rabbits. That's kind of one of the reasons why I really want to do that fucking thing that Shirley Delta fucking El Stabaru mentioned there the other day. It was like the meme of Arnold Schwarzenegger and that black fella where they like fucking greet each other, and there's just that screenshot of their bulging, oiled up arms. You motherfucker! But instead of the two of them, it's like a gorilla and a bunny rabbit. Like, and I've done 2 sketches of it already, and I keep trying to make the bunny rabbit like real Chad. Like, I want to give the bunny rabbit like a Chad jaw, but still like give it buck teeth and all. It's actually gonna take me like. I love it when an idea, like I like an idea enough that I want to draw it multiple times so that it gets like really good. Like that's one of my favorite things about being an artist is like sometimes like the Vegemite jar. I'm actually really enjoying doing the Vegemite jar, and I don't know why. There's just something about the shape of it, like, and the way I'm painting it is just like really like enjoyable. I find that shit hilarious. Uh, the promos look good, not to reinforce bad habits, but I get the doing what needs doing when the energy arrives. Yeah, you see, that's one of the reasons why like I do have a lot of internal conflict the last like 6 months because like in my like from my perspective, I'm like I know I can do this. I can do this. I have been doing this. I make money doing this. It's just it's not enough to like give me that like satisfaction of like oh I make just as much money if not more than my female and all that. And like it's I don't even care. But I know she cares. And I know it's important to her. And I have a responsibility as her man. Like, we've been together for, like, over a decade and shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I kind of just got my shit together in the past, like, 5 to 6 years. After, like, a lifetime of just fucking, like, bullshit, like, And, like, I'm in this weird spot where I'm, like, I'm kind of stressing myself out trying to, like, work harder so that she feels more secure. When the reality is, it's like in a lot of ways, like she's fine the way she is. Like she likes having her own money. She likes working. She likes the people she works with. Like she's the type of person that when I ask her about her, like how was your day or whatever, like she could go off for like an hour about like, the things that she spoke about with people and what's been happening and what kind of like what new systems they're employing in the office or some shit. Like, like it's not like I think that's one of the reasons why I find it so funny. Like that, like I've said, she agrees with me that like we kind of live like a king and queen the last few years. Like, because like she makes more than enough money, and she like it's not like she has to work like really hard. If anything, it's kind of like being a teacher. She works for the government. Like, there's a lot of perks, a lot of time off, a lot of flexibility in your hours, and it's good money. But it's not the type of thing that like I want her doing her whole life, and it's not the type of thing she wants to do her whole life. Like, I know for a fact that she would be happier making pillows and selling them on Etsy or some shit. Like she can play the saxophone. My woman is very talented. She's not just beautiful and fucking a bit goofy. Like, but that's like, of course she's a bit goofy. That's why I love her. Like, I'm a goofball. Like, do you know what I mean? Having a sense of humor is very important to me. If I meet somebody and they don't like have a good sense of humor, I'm always like, I don't know about you. But yeah, like all the self-reflection and shit. Like, you're right. Like, I've struggled with like being just how I am because I know it works. Like before I moved here with the female and I was still living with my mother, I turned the whole thing around and was selling paintings within a few months. My Instagram was getting like hundreds and thousands of hits. Not hundreds of thousands of hits. It was getting hundreds, and then it was getting thousands. There was efficient, notable growth in a small space of time. I was doing well. But then I think in a lot of ways I've put her like happiness and like state of mind as too much of a priority. Which I suppose isn't a bad thing temporarily. Like, like you should be like, right, I need to provide for my woman. But at what cost? I mean, like, I can't provide for my woman if I'm mentally evaluating myself to such a degree that I'm like beating myself up that I'm not working hard enough when what I'm doing is working. You know? It's like I'm very patient, I'm very laid back, all these things. But the reality is like here's something. The other day, I got a few super chats. Because the way we have it set up, it goes to the female's phone on her PayPal. And she gets the notification on her phone when I was getting the super chats. So she looked at her phone and the fact that I was making money live on the internet, and she's like, "Oh, that's dinner paid." So it's not like she has like a fucking, like I'm blessed. Like I don't have a female that's like, "Go out and get a job. Like you need to make a lot of money." Like, do you know what I mean? Like she's not like, she believes in me. You know, she's more than happy to let me do me fucking thing because she believes in me. She's seen evidence that believing in me works. You know. So a lot of the time it is just me. I'm such an autistic retard sometimes that I like overanalyze and I'm in my head too much. Because the reality is I can sit down and in the space of 2 hours I can make something that's worth like at least 100 quid. Which is crazy. To me, like. Wouldn't be crazy to a lot of artists, you know? A lot of artists out there, they fucking do something in 20 minutes. They're like, yeah, 500 quid, please, you know? You know I'm worth it, you know? I'm not there yet. But I can do something in 2 hours with markers and ink that somebody is more than happy to buy over the internet for like 50 quid. That's a business. But it's all the other shit that I've had to figure out in the meantime. And I know there's always going to be struggles, you know? I know there's going to be like a point where like I'm pulling in like, tens of thousands of euros and fucking selling a lot of merch and like all this stuff and like trying to build a fucking longhouse or something on my own land where we can have events and shit for bears and stuff like that. Like, I know there's going to be struggles ahead, but I welcome them. And I welcome the struggles that I have at the moment. But it's almost like I'm fascinated with how I'm dealing with them. It's weird. I'm big into this whole witness thing. Like, isn't that essentially, like, are you capable of actually viewing yourself from an unbiased and objective perspective? You know? Because, like, I like to think that, because, like, I feel like I'm a very self-reflective person. So sometimes I feel like I'm living my life for a few hours a day from a third-person perspective, like I'm playing a video game, where I'm like, Alex is confident and in a good mood and well-fed and hydrated and, like, he's like, I'm looking at myself like a fucking Tamagotchi or some shit, and I'm like, I'm doing quite well right now. And then there's other days where I'm like, you fucking lazy bastard. Even though I'm not actually lazy. Like, I literally do get up early, like, almost every day. Like, I think the unfortunate side effect of having high standards is when you don't meet them, you can sometimes, like, be really hard on yourself. At least somebody like me, anyway. Like, if it is actually not, like, me, and if it is actually demons, like, fucking sending shit into my mind or whatever like that, like, man, these guys are assholes. They say some of the most fucked up shit. Like, it's just like, like, it's so fucked up, like, and it is. It's like, obviously, because it's in my head. It's like, it's only shit that I would know. So part of me, I'm like, well, how would a fucking demon know that? Like, like, how would it know how to say it that way that it would really get to me? But then part of me is like, no, that makes sense, because that's the realm they live in. The realm of they live in the realm of just pure consciousness. So, like, the way they work is just like, they just like get in your stream of consciousness, and they just like kind of like the same way somebody would tap into the electrical grid by like fucking fucking with a street lamp and like like tapping into the electrical grid that way. Like I think that's how demons work. Is like there's a fucking stream of consciousness that connects us all, and like you could call that God, or maybe it's a separate thing. I'd say it's a separate thing. I'd say it's like the ethereal weave that moves through all of us, like, and they're just like able to swim in it like water, or move around in it like it's an actual material to them, and they can just like the same way a fucking truffle pig would find a truffle. They just like sniff people's like consciousnesses out and like find somebody like me, and it's like, ooh, strong-willed, confident, creative. Let's destroy him. like, like sometimes I'd be meditating and I'll think shit, and I'm like, there's no way that's me, because like I think that's being a dickhead. Like I'm being a dickhead to myself. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I like me. Be a dickhead to me. Self-evaluation can hinder progress is the understatement of the day. Yeah, it really. It's like if you're stopping every 5 minutes to be like, "Am I doing well?" Then like you're probably not doing as well as you could be doing because you're stopping every 5 minutes to see if you're doing well. Like, how about you just do and stop thinking? I fall victim to that constantly. Like, you know what I mean? I'm here 53 minutes and I haven't even got these bitches wet. Constantly overthinking. It's a curse. And maybe it's not demons. Maybe I've just been cursed. Maybe I don't have to expel demons from my mind or my soul or my chi or some shit. Maybe I just have to dispel curses. I'd say it's a lot easier to dispel curses than kill a demon. Or maybe it's not. It's probably a lot easier to slay a demon depending on the demon than dispelling the curse. Like the difference between like pulling out a weed and fixing a car engine and some shit like that. Like, paint! It's time to paint! What are we doing? Gaddafi is looking sharp as fuck, but he still has a few details to put on him. I also want that the writing on the wall to be more bloody and visible. It's not that visible. Paint. Need to do the porno mag. I'll just do a fucking... What did I say? I was just going to do a Playboy bunny head on it, like, so you'll know what it is. Finish the troll. And then I was going to put, like... I might put Mario and Luigi in. And, like, do them, like, running on the rooftops and shit. We'll do some stars and stuff. I'll have some fun with this one, what? Right, let's get these bitches wet. Painting, goo. What'll I do first? We'll do the troll. We'll do the troll first. When you get your bitch wet, point her hair to the bottom of the bucket. Get it neck deep, so that her hairs brush against the base of the bucket. Then pull her halfway out. Beat her senselessly. Then use your royal rag to clear up all the evidence. Then you may begin painting. Right, I want like a dirty, goblin tooth yellow. Fucking, like, Indian toenail yellow. The fucking Pajeets are getting a bad time of it. It's like the whole fucking abortion thing that he did a few weeks ago. Like, he does it, like, he has this amazing ability to just, like, hit, like, a vital nerve in a culture. Like, and just, like, get everybody to just be, like, open arms against him, like. It's fucking fascinating to witness. Like, it's not just funny, it's fascinating. Like, but like, in what state of mind do you have to be to defend bathing in shit? And then like I'm one of those like autistic level dudes where like I'll think about it to be like, okay, there has to be some sort of rational like thought process that led you to that behavior. And I'm thinking like, okay, well it's not like human shit. You know, it's cow shit. And all they eat is grass. Or like, you know, wheat or fucking macadamias or like if you're one of them S tier cows and you're getting fed the macadamia nuts, like, and fucking Zuckerberg makes me laugh. Anytime I see the Zuck fella, I'm just like, he looks like a fucking alien trying to be the best human he can be. Like, he always looks like he's just like, please, they'll never know, they'll never find out what I really am. Like, he's a funny looking fuck, man. But yeah, I think it's the same thing with like when he was like, you know, fucking, oh what, like don't abort it, like I'll buy it, like, you know, and people are like, oh my god, how dare you and shit, like. It's the same thing. He's like, you guys eat shit. And they're like, oh, how dare you? We don't eat shit. We just brush our teeth with it and bathe in it. And I'm like, paint. Like, how fucking stupid do you have to be to defend certain things? Painting goo. Paint. I'm trying to mold this guy's teeth. It's funny when you're doing stuff on the fly like this. Like, I've seen a lot of artists do it. Like the Asians actually train their kids. Not all of them, obviously, but it's a thing that I've seen where they train their children to just like draw a lot of squiggly lines and then try and create an image out of just chaos. You know, you try and see something in the your mind's eye is like, oh, I can see it. You know, and like that's how I did the troll. And he came out great. You know, he's horrible looking. He's fat. He's got stubby little legs. He's all hairy and shit. And now, as I'm doing the teeth, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going with the flow. You know, I'm just like in the moment. I'm just like, yeah, like I'm not thinking about it too much, which is hilarious considering the rant I just went on. But it's like, it's funny, isn't it? Like how you can find yourself like in different modes of thought, and like certain ones are like hard to get out of, and then certain ones are like really beneficial, and like that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Like why they made like, I don't think they made the television with the purpose of broadcasting like mind control shit. I think it was like probably like most things, like, you know, oh well, people could watch theater in their home, you know, like you could have a theater in your home, like, and then because that becomes a thing, then you have all the demons coming in, being like, oh, look at this, like, we like, look at all the ways we can pervert this. That's like, that's essentially how I see the whole realm and how it works. Is like, you have something that's created, and most of the time, something that's created has many productive and beautiful uses. But what almost always happens is the more beautiful and productive a created thing is, the more evil wants to pervert it. Because something that's like, look at Anakin Skywalker becomes Vader, right? I think there's like a karmic truth to, if you have something that's like a really powerful force for good, and then you pervert it, it becomes a really powerful force for evil. You know? Like, could you imagine if Owen was a bad guy? Like, think about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, could you imagine if, like, if Owen was, like, secretly, like, you know, like, actually, like, doing it? Like, man, it would be so bad. He's so good at that shit. He's so good at, like, rhetoric and stuff. Like, he would be such a powerful bad guy. Such a powerful force for evil. Which is why he's hated so much in our timeline. Like, it makes so much sense when you just, like, talk it all out. Like, it makes so... that's why he's hated so much in our timeline, because, especially in the West. Because, like, in our timeline in the West right now, it's, like, heavily degenerated. So someone who is this, like, beacon of, like, no, like, that's fucked up. Like, you should just be like this. Because it's not like he's Jesus or anything. It's not like he's even particularly that, like, virtuous or noble or holy. He's just so fucking normal in a time where shit has just gone off the wall that they fucking hate him for it. They're like, how dare you be an atypical man? Because, like, that's how I see Owen. Like, you know what I mean? I don't see him like all these other fucking... Like, there's some of the shit I hear people say about him, like... I'm just like, bro. like I can only imagine how it feels for Owen when someone is like, I have a son because of you. And it's just like, you're welcome. like, you can see it in his face and hear it in his voice sometimes where he's like, all praise to God, I'm happy you have a kid, like, you're crushing and all, like, please stop. like, it makes so much sense. And, like, to a normal person who doesn't want it, like, because I don't want that shit. If people started, like, if the paparazzi showed up outside my house trying to take pictures of me and my kimono through the window because PEINTEINGU has become an international phenomenon, you know, like, I'd be, like, peeking out the window with a cup of coffee being like, fuck off! Like, if I had to go to shop for something, I'd just be like, oh, here we go. I have to, like, walk past all these gobshites. Like, excuse me, sir. Like, so, are you a racist? like, they say that you love Japanese culture, but you're extremely vulgar and, like, and offensive. Like, I would probably take the piss. I'd probably, like, wear this costume and go to Aldi. like, you want to take pictures? Fine, I'll at least make it entertaining. Now hand me my bag. Like, it's so funny to me, like, you know. Like I was saying, like, there's a big, like I was saying with the whole, like, eating the heart of your enemies thing, like, there's a big difference between saying something and then doing it. So, like, somebody like me, I can get away with saying pretty much fucking anything because I don't say something unless I really fucking mean it. That's how I work. You know? Like, I'm actually painting a fucking jar of Vegemite for some Australian dude who calls himself an elf who I've never met apart from on the internet. Like, do you know, like, that, I'm actually doing that. It's over there on the bed, like, do you know, like, if I say I'm gonna do something, I fucking do it. Like, I did storyboard a fucking storyline for a fucking comic thing called Redhead, but I couldn't be fucking arsed with it right now. It's way too much time to invest in something that's not gonna make me money for, like, 5 years. So, like fucking Tolkien, like, I'd love to know if Tolkien actually made money off his books before he died. Like, real money. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, New York Times bestseller, The Lord of the Rings. Like, I don't think it went down like that, did it? Like, I could be wrong. But, like, I never heard of Tolkien being, like, you know, a filthy rich nigga because all of his fucking Lord of the Rings lunchbox money. It's so funny to me how people are, like, you know, fucking... Like, I am a dreamer. But you hear people being like, I'd love to do this, and I'd love to do this, and I'd love to have one of these. Like, it's, especially women. It's a very female thing to do, to just, like, fantasize to the nth degree. Which, coming from me, is hilarious, you know, because I have, like, an insane imagination. But I tend not to actually fantasize about things that may or not happen in reality. I don't fantasize about having a big house. I don't fantasize about having like a more beautiful woman, or like a really nice car, or like I don't even fantasize about having a really nice office to do my painting in. I fantasize about having a lot of land. like, and not even a lot. I fantasize about having an acre that I can actually call my own. Like, where does Defender live? There, in that field. That's Defender's field. Like, that's all I want is a hut on some grass and to be left the fuck alone. I couldn't be more Irish. Like, Risque magazine's going to need to be a little bit more purple. I'll do the bunny head in pink, but like, I want that like sexy purple. I mean, who doesn't love purple? It's such a nice color. Whether you see it on flowers or fucking velvet coat or some shit, purple's just one of those things where it's like you can do almost anything in purple and it just look nice. That's one thing I might do, like a series of animals in like funny cartoon form and just change their color. Look at a pretty purple crocodile. Paint, paint. Paint, book. Paint, paint. Okie dokie. Oh shit. Still a lot of paint on that bitch. There we go. Much better. Scout Sparrow! Welcome, go paintingu. Oh yeah. Wishy is a legend. The female is an absolute legend. She's a fucking like train wreck and a big baby sometimes, but what female isn't? Working in flow state is a valuable evaluation of self. Yeah, like I'm real good at that. I'm just like, right, tunes, paper, paint, and I'm gone for like hours. And then sometimes it's I get so into flow that sometimes I come back to reality and I'm like, man, this place is so boring. Like, with all of its fucking bureaucracy and its stupid problems, like, I get like so into flow where like my mind just does the whole fucking like sometimes I feel like I can see the realm from a macro perspective. And like to me it looks like just a big swirling, I don't think, we're on a ball spinning at X amount, miles an hour. But I think there is there's definitely a rotation involved in our realm, to the point where I think that's actually what keeps everything going on a level. I think I can imagine it being that at the center of everything there's a giant black cube floating with a load of electricity, and it's just that is the godstone, and it's that's what the realm turns on or whatever, and that's why I think that I think the whole realm could be an alchemical masterpiece made by a guy thousands of years ago. And that's why there's like a circle within a circle within a circle, or like, a circle over here surrounded by ice, a circle over here surrounded by ice, and there's like salt water and earth and like all these like. I could just imagine like you think the fucking Wallenbergs and like it's like, oh, it's the Jews run everything, and then you find out it's like, oh, it's actually the Swedes or the Swiss, like they're the real like S tier, hidden hand. Fuck that, man. I think there's guys out there, like a group, like a whole population of people who live in a totally different section of the realm, who know all about us and like see us as like a fucking zoo or some shit. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like the UFOs and shit we see is quote unquote Nazi tech, and they just like fly over from the ice and just like check shit out and then fly back. Like, how's the farm going? Grand? Okay. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you pulled a Truman and like you actually like got out. Like you went to Antarctica or whatever, or like you found the tunnel, that leads to Agartha or some shit. Like, if you found the place where you go, where there's a thing and the people and like all the questions are answered, like I wouldn't be surprised at all if like if it's just a case of just like because I've heard that like there's no actual beginning or end. It's just like these never-ending cycles. These like that's where whole rebirth and like death and rebirth and fucking transfer energy and shit comes from. If you ever look at that Mobius strip thing, that's one of those real kind of like mind-bending things where it's like it just kind of folds in on itself. And I I think that's how everything works. And I think people just like eventually figured it out. Like I'd say God is like, yeah, he's probably the ultimate creator. An immortal, eternal consciousness that sustains everything. I don't know. Because like if like can existence itself have a beginning, a middle, and an end? I don't know. Like when you get to that level, like I haven't a clue. Obviously, I haven't a clue. If you're here looking for philosophical fucking answers and not questions, you've come to the wrong streamu. But if you have come to ponder and to witness the glory of paintingu, and perhaps listen to a little rantingu, and some ravingu, some rantingu and ravingu, and talking over adzu that show up on my streamu and insult the fuck out of me by peddling their shit on my time. Fucking neck of these people. Dick Fordu, welcome to paintingu. Shreepy Hosu, welcome to paintingu. Ajit does deserve it. And it's hilarious. Longhouseru? Yeah, like I'd love to, like my goal, right, is to make enough money off of my art, which is everything from like character design, logo design, the stream, my personal paintings. I want to get to a stage where I'm making enough money that I can secure like an acre of land with the female that either has like a property that's like a fixer-upper on it, or other option is like buy a mobile home and stick it on the land and live in that for a while I build a house. Because I'd love to get back into carpentry. But I want to build like a big longhouse or a barn or like some kind of essentially just a big fucking town hall, church, whatever you like, big, mainly one room, one big like community hall thing. And I just want to hold like events in it and shit. people can bring their kids. You know, like the stuff that the Beara group was already doing. We were going camping. We were like having meetups. That's what I want to do. I want to provide a location where we can we can totally control everything, like, you know. And like I just want to, like, over the space of like maybe like 10, 20 years or something, like I'd love to like be like a fucking, like, this is why I was kind of questioning, like, should I do it on my land or should I get a place like near my land or something, like. But I'd love to just have like essentially a community center for bears or bear adjacents, you know, where it's like kids can come and learn all sorts of stuff. I'd love to have like a library there, computers. I just want to put a lot of stuff in it that people can use to better themselves, like a gym, you know. It's for me as well. Like, I want a place where I can work out. I want a place where I can hold a lot of books. I want a place where, like, space, a large space to just use for stuff in a productive and moral manner, you know. Hyperborean hovercraft going on safari to Midgard. Yeah, like, that's all the UFOs are. It's just like, fucking, Sven, will we check on the sheep? Sure, why not? Saw a massive low-flying UFO when I was a teenager. It was just slowly creeping over the treetops. Did you pee a little? Or were you like freaking out, be like, oh, like, that's cool and all, like. I've never had a genuine, like, even like a ghost experience or something, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've never had an experience where I get that unnerving sense of like, oh, something's here, like, that's not normal. Like, I've never experienced something like that. If you found the tunnel to paradise, what would you want to? Would you want to return? If I found the tunnel to paradise, would I want to come back? Probably. Like I said earlier on in the stream, I'm quite a big child in a lot of ways, and I can imagine that no matter how, like, unbelievably paradise-like paradise was, you know, like you say, paradise, like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, what is paradise? You know, there's perfection, the perfect environment. It's like, I don't know. I can imagine I would get bored. I can imagine I would miss certain aspects of, like, quote unquote, the normal realm. Like, yeah, like, I'd probably hang out for like a few months and, like, you know, check the place out, like, try out the local amenities. But then I'd probably get bored. Because, like, I've experienced that where, like, something is like so good, it's too good, you know? Or it's like if something has, like, no nuance to it, or no, like, kind of, like, not a nuance, like, if something has no contrast to it, then it would probably be boring, you know? Like, I'd say paradise would be the perfect, like, the best place to just go and relax for a while and then come back here. That's probably what I'd do, you know? I'd be like, you know, yeah, this place is amazing. It's the perfect temperature. The food is so nourishing, everything refreshing. Like, fucking, I just feel so, like, revitalized and fucking rejuvenated just being here, and like it's so beautiful, and like everything you touch and smell and hear is like it's fucking incredible. Like, you know, it's like that's why I've never done heroin. Like, you know, fucking you see people get into heroin and all, it's just like the second they inject it, they just like pass out or whatever. It's like it feels so good that it's horrific. You know? It's so relaxing and so like, oh yeah, like fucking like you're having an orgasm that lasts like 20 minutes or something. You're just like it'd make you sick. Like a lot that happens to a lot of people. Like, you know, they'll hit heroin and then they'll fucking puke. And like didn't like in that show Breaking Bad, they like showcase that where like you might get sick while you're passed out. So like sleep on your side. So if you do puke, you don't drown, and that's what happens to your one. Like people don't understand the reality of certain realities. Like if you are a heroin addict, if you are a cocaine addict, if you are an alcoholic, if you are a pedophile, if you are a career criminal, like what is your life actually like? Because people always see the like, you know, oh yeah, crime pays. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, fucking if you just get away with it, you can have the women, the riches, the beautiful home. Fucking, you can have your own tiger if you want. Like, you know, it's all bullshit. It's all that Faustian bullshit of like, yeah, but that's not actually what it is. You know, like if you're a career criminal, like you're always looking over your back. If you're a pedophile, you probably have an intense, like, chronic self-hatred. Do you know, like, I've thought about that sometimes where I'm like, what it would be like to be one of those people. To exist like that. To be a societal pariah, rightly so, but nonetheless, like, shunned by everyone else for what you're supposedly, you know, like, 'cause you hear them say all this bullshit. It's like, oh, it's just the way they are. No, fuck that. It's a choice. It's a choice to be that low. You know? It's a choice to get that dark. But imagine making that choice. And actually, like, being that. Surely, like, your soul, like, do you know what I mean? Because, like I said earlier on, like, I think everybody is, like, inherently good. Like, look at a baby. Like, a baby's, like, the most innocent fucking, like, ignorant fucking thing. And they're just, like, happy and smiley, like, you know, and then, yeah, obviously, I know they cry and shit everywhere, too, and scream the house down and stuff. But, like, they're not having a fucking agenda. Other than, like, I'm hungry, you know? Like, it's just... it's unfathomable to me to think that a baby could inherently be a pedophile waiting to happen. That doesn't make any sense to me, you know? That's why, like, I completely agree with Owen with the whole, like, fucking, like, they're like vampires. They need to, like... They can't actually procreate, so the way they create more of them is just like trauma and really dark shit, like, you know, which makes sense because, like, how do you create a monster? You know, if you were going to try and make a monster, how would you go about it? First thing I would do is get a child and like put him somewhere on his own.
Drive real results for your business.
You get a child, put him somewhere on his own, and like treat it like shit. Like, turn it into an animal, you know? Like, isn't there a superhero like that? I can't remember, like, he was like, you know, he's like treated like a fucking, like, literally like an animal by some dude or corporation for like the first 20 odd years of his life, and then he like gets out of the facility, so he's basically like a wild, like a monster, a wild animal, but like starts learning how to become normal and human. Did I just make that up, or like, is that like? That has to be a comic book, if not like a fairly famous superhero. I don't think a single person's ever been born with the... I don't know, because then when you look at fate, you know, are certain things like, you know, just like supposed to happen, like predestined to happen, prophesized, you know, prophecies and all this stuff, like, because then the reality would be that a baby would be born, and you're like, well, this guy's fate is to grow up and be an absolute monster. I wonder. Like, it would make sense. If we're all just pieces on the board, some of us have to be... Do you know what I mean? Like... I wonder if that's how it works. Like, the whole, like, samsara shit with the fucking... the Indian thing where, like, you know, reincarnation and all that. Like, if we do actually choose to return... or choose to incarnate in the first place... and we're given tasks and... like spiritual journeys to go on or something. It would make perfect sense to me that, like, there's people alive right now who have been here like hundreds of times and they just don't care, and they don't want to learn. They just want to come here and act the bollocks. And like, maybe that's what demons are. I don't know. Like, maybe a demon is a soul that has refused to play the celestial war game, and they just descend into these like bottom-feeding spiritual entities. Like, anyway, yeah, I'd love a library. There's just like, I'm not even a big reader, like, but when I see a lot of books, and it's only certain kinds of books, you know, like, I'm not talking about fucking New York bestsellers or some shit, like, you know, or even stuff like Hunger Games or like Lord of the Rings even. Like, obviously I'd have a copy of Lord of the Rings, but like, I'm talking like dictionaries, encyclopedias, alchemical workbooks, like alchemical instructions, engineering instructions, celestial maps, old world maps. Like, that's the type of stuff I want to collect. I want to collect like knowledge. I want like a museum. I want my own like fucking museum, like old weapons, old armor, like real shit, you know? Scrolls. Anything you can get your hands on that's like really fucking old. Like, I'm no Tomb Raider. I wouldn't be one of those fucking, you know, oh, we gotta go find the secret hidden shit. But I'd collect knowledge that is useful and true to at least to our greatest knowledge. It is true knowledge. That is the knowledge I would collect. And I'd want people to be able to like bring their kids and like treat it like a homeschool place, you know? But at the same time, I'd want adults to be able to like work out as if they're in a gym, you know? That's why I wanted like a longhouse, like, you know, like I'm talking like just a big fucking room that if we wanted to, we could section off. That's like 2 stories tall and about like 5 houses long. You know, like take your average suburban house and like put 5 of them connected to like it lengthwise, and then it's 2 stories, and it's just like basically a big empty fucking room or barn that we could like section off with partitions or whatever and do certain things in, like, and you just have like a load of stuff to make you physically healthy, a load of stuff to like educate yourself, a load of stuff to express yourself creatively. You know, like, I'd have a fucking workshop for like carpentry and metalwork and all. Like, do I build a school? Is that what I'm describing? Is I want to build my own fucking school for truthers? Like, well, that'd be fucking awesome. Like, I totally would. I'd probably eventually have people thinking, like, you know, is he trying to build an army? Like, No, I swear to God, I'm not like. I just want to like. I just want things to be good. Like, is it too much to ask for things to just be good? Like, I look at it in the same light as like something like you know, that coach that has like a boxing gym because he gets all the young fellas off the street and like teaches them how to fight and makes them fighters, and that's like a way better future than like getting involved in local gangs and shit. Like, that's kind of where I'm going. Like, you don't need to go to school. You don't need to go to gym. You don't need to spend all your time on the internet. You don't need to just come to this barn in the middle of nowhere. Like, and you can be free. Oh, maybe I'm probably being too naive. But I'm being honest. That's where I want all this. Like, obviously, I want my own property and like grow some of my own food, have some chickens. I can't wait to get chickens. I think chickens and ducks are hilarious. I cannot wait to have a bit of land that's actually ours, so I can have some fucking chickens and ducks and shit. Like, that would totally fucking change my like general mood on a daily basis. If I just went out my back garden or some shit and there's just a lot of ducks fucking waddling around, like, I would just smile. I would just instantly be like, especially if I own them and I like name them and shit. I obviously wouldn't be able to name all of them because like duck's quite nice. Painting goo goo. Painting goo goo. Goo goo. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten. Griff, I am going to figure out how to get you on the stream. We did actually do our first phrase of the day today. So I will remind you all of today's phrase. Where is it? I'm gonna make a monkey to play the piano because little bitch bear is dead because he got on the bad side of Carlos. He deserved it. He had it coming. Where's the screenshot? Today's phrase, the phrase of the day. Kino nagari ga yoko naruto. Kibun ga yoko narimasu. Which means, when chi flows, feels good. So tomorrow we will have another phrase. Slowly but surely we will learn Japu. Together. Like one big family. Jerky. Get the luminous pink out and do the bunny on the book. And then I think I'm going to call it. As I have lots of painting goo to painting goo. I have a Vegemite jar to do. Of my symmetrical finish. Should be finished by either the end of this week or start of next week. Get that on t-shirts and hoodies and stuff. Oh, you're quite right, Carlos. They need to be reminded. If you haven't already, remind yourself to like and subscribe, or I will unleash Carlos upon you. The only thing between you and a horrific death at the hands of a formerly owned Colombian drug tiger is a bucket and a pair of sunglasses. If removed, hell will be set loose. Well, I froze. I was scared it would see me. But it also felt like man-made tech, not alien, even though it was the size of a small town. That's mad. Like imagine, like, I've never seen something like that big. If you're thinking of the movie I think you're thinking of, Unleashed, I think that's similar to the story I described, but I don't think it's actually what I described. Because I can't remember how his character in that movie ends up being chained and like kept like a dog. Did he get... I think he got him quite young though. I think he got him as like a young boy. I could be wrong. Good film though. I want to watch that again. Good action movie. Yeah, Griff wants to be on the stream. I'm going to get him on the stream and I'll do a portrait of him or some shit. I'll do an impromptu painting portrait too. Time to get my pink out. Oh, Jesus. How much of that have I got? Oh, another one in there, do I? No, I don't. Lilac. Next time I have a bit of money there, the amount of paint I'm going to buy. It's actually another way you could support Painting Goo, you know? If you're not up for, if you don't want a painting and you don't want to just give me a super chat or something, send me some paint. It's gonna need a flu. It's gonna need a few layers because it's iridescent, but it'll work. In the meantime, let's work on these trolls' teeth.
He's coming back. Get out of here.
Big horrible teeth on him.
Meet the biggest car brand.
Meet the fucking skip button, you handsy ass fuck! Get off my stream. Griff is where you saw the UFO? That's hilarious. Coincidence? I think not. Paint. Paint. It's a dirty ass troll. Time we have. Right, ladies and gentlemen, bears and bearlets, niggers and niggerettes. I'm gonna leave it there for today, for I have other shit to do. A moment. Now that you can see all of my top nottu, I shall bid you farewell. So, I hope you have enjoyed PEINTEINGU on this Thursday. If you would like to support PEINTEINGU, link in description. Send me some money, buy a PEINTEINGU. Link in description to buy my merchandise. I will see you, same time, same place, same high-octane painting energy. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. If you miss it, you will disgrace you and your ancestors. Until then, be good, be true, and be beautiful. And I will see you tomorrow. God bless.